Hello there, fellow cultists. This is DM Nell, and I'm back with another Shadow Talk. This is episode number 130, and today I've got a few things to cover with you all. The main topic is going to be the Weird Wizard Quick Play PDF that you can find with the Kickstarter. But first, there are a few items that are probably newsworthy, so I figured I would cover those at the top of the video. And so here we go. So the first item we have is you can find on Drive-Thru RPG, and it is under the When the Wolf Comes, the Viking verse role-playing game that's powered by the Shadow the Demon Lord. It has its own category here in the Sotww Entertainment section of Drive-Thru RPG. And when you come here and click on it, you will find there's a number of items that are available. And the newest item is the Horror of Fangstone Mine. This was just released within the last week, I believe. It's an adventure for expert characters and is the 5th chapter in the Thought and Memory Saga. So what is the Thought and Memory Saga? Well, if you click on the Thought and Memory Saga hyperlink, it will show you the background here, and it'll give you Chapter 1, Chapter 2, 3, and 4, which you can also find, I believe, whoops, where the hell am I? I believe you can find it also here in the When the Wolf Comes folder. So there's Finnegan's Wake, Book of Daniel, Ghost Signal, Thought and Memory Saga. So this is just the latest, and I really know nothing about this. I haven't read it. I have not picked up When the Wolf Comes yet. I plan to. I've just got a lot on my plate right now, so I haven't gotten around to it as of yet. But it looks like a campaign, or at least an adventure path. So, yeah, interesting. Which I think, this is the way to go. If you have a new RPG and people aren't really sure how it should be run, putting together an adventure path for them is probably the way to go. That's what Sotww did with Tales of the Demon Lord, and helped me out immensely. So, yeah, you've got lots of stuff here for the Viking verse. Okay, what else do we have? We've got some stuff on the Sotww Entertainment website. So if you go to the Sotww Entertainment website, you'll see that there's a number of items here. Fangstone Mine is one of them. But we also have the Weird Wizard live play. There's 2 parts so far. I don't know how many parts there are going to be, but they are going through the quick play adventure, which is what we're covering today. So if you want to see that in action, then you can check out the live play. I'm personally not a big fan of live plays. I just can't, they just don't hold my attention generally. So, but for a lot of people, it's a good way for them to understand how the game works. And so you might want to check it out. I have not watched them as of yet myself. But I know Dan Heinrich, who is the GM, is a good guy, and played some games with him, and I'm sure he does a fantastic job running the game here. So, again, you can find that on the Sotww Entertainment website. Another thing you can find on the Sotww Entertainment website is the Game Design Roundtable. And you have a number of game designers being interviewed. I forget who's doing the interview. Is this guy in the upper right-hand corner? But, of course, you got Rob Sotww in the lower right-hand corner. You have Chris Pramus in the lower left-hand corner. And then you have Stephen Radney McFarlane in the upper left-hand corner. And it is, I want to say it's close to an hour in length. And they just talk about game design in general. Very interesting. And, of course, Mr. Sotww talks a little bit about Shadow the Demon Lord and Weird Wizard and his approach to game design for those 2 games, in addition to what he contributed to 5th edition and some of the other games that he has designed in his career. So you've got those 4 items that you can find all of them here, or links, at least links to all of them here on the Schwab Entertainment website. There's also been a Weird Wizard Q&A that you can find here in the Facebook group for Shadow the Demon Lord Cult. I don't know if it's on the Shadow the Weird Wizard page. I haven't checked that out here recently, but I do know that it's on the Shadow the Demon Lord Cult. And so this latest entry talks about, Robert Schwab talks about his collaboration with Kim Mohan on this Shadow the Weird Wizard. Kim Mohan was an editor and a game designer in his own right, and he worked very closely with Robert Schwab in a lot of projects, including the Shadow the Weird Wizard, and he recently passed away, I believe, about a year ago or so. And so this particular Q&A topic that I'm looking at right now is about Kim and how they work together on this project. So anyway, there are other entries in this Q&A that are also in Facebook. So if you want to get the whole thing, then just go to the Facebook group if you are part of the Facebook group, and you can find it there. Oh, I just remembered that, and I don't know if I mentioned this, but Robert Schwab was also featured on Mastering Dungeons. That is a video series on YouTube. It's also a podcast by a couple of veteran designers, Sean Merwin, who works for Ghostfire Games. He's also done a lot of work for Wizards of the Coast and D&D in general. And Teos Abadia, who is also a game designer. He's done a lot of work for D&D in various in various formats and editions. So I love watching this video series. These guys are great at covering D&D news and gaming news in general. And they brought on Mr. Schwab to highlight the Shadow the Weird Wizard Kickstarter, and also just to pick his brain on stuff. And if you've never watched a video or a interview with Robert Schwab, his videos are hilarious. His interviews are hilarious. He is he's just a funny guy, and I definitely advise that you check out if no other videos than this one, just to get his perspective directly from his mouth on what he intended with this game and who his target audience is and what he went through to produce it. And finally, if that wasn't enough exposure for Robert Schwab and Shadow the Weird Wizard, then there is also an interview with Forbes. Yes, Forbes magazine did an interview with Robert Schwab. And I don't think this particular article is the interview, but I think it has some interview parts to it. Anyway, I skimmed over it because, at this point I've been so immersed in Shadow the Weird Wizard, it's becoming repetitive. So, between the Q&A and the interviews on the various platforms, I get it so far. I've got a pretty good idea of what Weird Wizard is. But if you are a fan of Forbes magazine and their RPG writer Rob Wieland, I don't know how to pronounce that, then you might want to check out this article. Once again, it's highlighting Robert Schwab and not only Shadow the Weird Wizard, but also Shadow the Demon Lord. And this is big publicity for the mainstream audience out there that may not be aware of these two games, and this is good exposure. So kudos to Rob Schwab for getting this interview and getting this article out there on Forbes Online. Okay, so that is that. So let's hit the main topic now. It's going to take a little bit to get through because it is a pretty big PDF. It's got 40 some odd pages, I believe. And see, I believe I already have it downloaded, so I don't have to download it again, but you can find it on the Drive-Thru RPG for free, and you can also get it from the Kickstarter itself if you would rather do that. Alrighty, so let's see here. Quick play. Alright, so Shadow of the Weird Wizard quick play. As soon as I pull her up here. There we go. Oops. Yeah. Okay, Shadow of the Weird Wizard. Alright, let me get rid of the sidebar here. And let's just scroll down. So we've got a quick play here that will give you an idea of how the game runs. It gives you a taste of what the characters are like, and it gives you kind of like the basic game, basic rules of the game in this PDF. So we have writing, design, and art direction by Rob Schwab, editing and development by Kim Mohan, additional editing by Jay Spite, art direction, graphic design, and layout by Kara Hamilton, aid and assistance by Daniel Heinrich, and proofreading by Jay Spite. Okay, so a lot of those names sound familiar because they are people that have worked on other Shadow of the Demon Lord products. Okay, so this tells you what the quick play offers you. It offers a glimpse of the Shadow of the Weird Wizard, the newest fantasy role-playing to make use of the rules first introduced in Shadow of the Demon Lord. The two games share something in common, but Weird Wizard eschews the foulness and horror of the original and enables you to play heroes charged with protecting peoples fleeing the violence and upheaval of their homelands as they search for new homes in the borderlands. Facing the monsters and magical mayhem created by this strange magician, characters have their work cut out for them. This booklet is not a complete game. It gives you just enough to play through a quest. You'll find some pre-generated characters first, followed by an abbreviated set of rules, and the quest at the end. All of this is to give you a taste of what the game offers: broad customization, short campaigns, focused quests, and streamlined rules designed for maximum accessibility. All right, so it starts off with the characters, the pre-gen characters. So the first two are Krunk and Z. Krunk is a Woodwoes. You belong to the Woodwoes ancestry. That is a people with a history steeped in blood and violence, who, in an effort to make amends for their part in the killing of fairies, retreated into the wilds to tend and nurture nature. That's a mouthful. You have an enormous size and stature, 8 feet tall and 400 pounds. Yeah, that's a big guy. Thick, coarse, reddish-brown fur covers your body, and you have a pair of curling ram horns extending from the sides of your head. You spent many years as a recluse and know how to forage for provisions and find clean water. You have since chosen to follow the fighter path. Okay, so we have a Woodwose fighter, and let's just take a look here. They have a defense of 9, that's not so great, but they have a health of 22, so lots of health for a low-level character. Strength of 13, that's pretty good. Agility of 9, not great. Intellect of 10, that's average, and will of 11 is a little above average. The languages that he can speak: Common and Runic, which is a guttural language spoken by your people, the Woodwoes. Size 1, which means that they're normal human size. Although I would say he's pushing it at 8 feet. That's not exactly normal human size. I'd say that's small giant size, but you know. Speed of 5, which is, I think, pretty typical. Then you have an equipment listing. You have a battle harness, great hammer, backpack, waterskin provisions, 5 torches, a tinderbox, and a pouch containing 4 copper pieces. You have the hulking trait, which you make strength rolls with 1 boon and impose 1 bane on rolls made against your strength. You make agility rolls with 1 bane and grant 1 boon on rolls made against your agility. This trait is included in your rolls. Then you have a great hammer. Use an action to attack 1 creature or object within 3 yards. Make a strength, which is +3, roll with 1 boon against the target's defense. On a success, the target takes 3d6 damage or 46 damage to a target object. So this game, like Shadow of the Demon Lord, differentiates between attacking a target versus attacking an object. A target creature, I should say, versus a target object. Critical success. When you get a critical success, you can roll the extra damage twice and use the highest amount. So we'll have to figure out what a critical success is in this game. In Shadow of the Demon Lord, you don't really have a critical success. If you roll a 20, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a critical success. Your class generally determines, or your path determines whether you have additional benefits for rolling a certain type of attack. Okay, so let's see. If the target is a creature size 2 or smaller, it also makes a strength roll. On a failure, you can either push the target 1d6 yards from you, so it still uses yards, or you knock it prone. So yards can be easily translated into meters, and then that equates to roughly 3 feet. So, it's still using yards, which is the standard of measure for Shadow of the Demon Lord. Now, we will get to the movement rules here in a little bit, because many people know that in the playtesting, the movement rules were originally going to be zones. And he talks about this in several of his interviews. So if you want to get it straight from his mouth, then yeah, you can do that. But he changed it at the last minute before the Kickstarter. He changed it to back to how he handles it in Shadow of the Demon Lord, which is if you're using a grid, then each space is equivalent to 1 yard. Or you can call it 1 square, or you can call it 1 space. However you want to call it, each increment on the grid is equal to 1 yard. Then you have engage the enemy. When an enemy moves to a space within a number of yards of you equal to your speed, you can use a reaction to move up to your speed. So there's still reactions in the game. If you can reach the enemy, you can attack it, and if the enemy takes damage from the attack, its speed drops to 0 until the start of its next turn. So you basically hold it in its place there for at least 1 round. All right, that's the Fighter Wood Woes. Then we have Z. Z is an ardent follower of the High One. So the High One, I believe, is the main religious figure, or the main religious focus in this game. I don't know what all the religions are going to be. In Shadow of the Demon Lord, the main religion is the religion of the New God. I have a feeling that this is going to be its counterpart in this game. So the High One takes the place of the New God. An ardent follower of the High One, you protect others against the evil that stalks the borderlands. You were a fundamentalist in your faith. I don't know what that means. I'm sure we'll be explaining the rules. So it was only natural for you to become a priest. And so this is a priest, and doesn't state what the ancestry is, so I'm assuming they are human. Okay, so they have a defense of 17, which is really good. Health of 14 is pretty good. Strength of 11 is above average. Agility of 10 is average. Intellect 10. And will score of 12 is pretty good. All right, so their only language is common. They're size 1, speed 5. Looks like they have a lot of the same equipment. Magical traditions include invocation and protection. So we still have magical traditions, which is good. I like that from Shadow of the Demon Lord. They have a cut above trait, which means that they make luck rolls with 1 boon. So luck rolls is a thing in this game that's different from Shadow of the Demon Lord. They have a holy symbol. So they can use it for Holy Smite, Holy Healing, and Holy Denunciation. So let's see. It says symbol has 1 charge. You can expend the charge from the symbol to make use of the following properties. Once you expend the charge, you replenish your supply after you rest. So we'll have to see what a rest is in this game. So in Shadow of the Demon Lord, a rest is, a full 8-hour rest. But I don't know if this is the same in this game. Which, if so, then one charge means that they can only use one of these in any given day. But if a rest is like a short rest, then they may be able to recharge it after they take like a 10 minute to an hour rest or something like that. So we'll have to see what rest means in this game. Let's say they have a mace they can use for an attack. They have battle blessing. You can use an action or a reaction when you attack to grant yourself and each ally within 5 yards 1 boon on attack rolls for 1 minute. Until this effect ends, the targets are also immune to the frightened affliction. Yeah, I don't know about that. Because if you have a priest in the party, basically what that means is that nobody will ever be frightened while you're in combat. So, but that's each ally within 5 yards. So they would have to be close. But even so, 5 yards is a pretty good distance on a grid. Most dungeon rooms are, not that big. Unless you're like in a sprawling complex. 5 yards is generally going to cover all your... Yeah, so I'm not sure I like that, but okay. Once you use this talent, you lose access to it for 1 minute. All right, Mystic Ward. You can use an action to place a Mystic Ward on a creature within 5 yards. The ward imposes 1 bane on rolls to attack the creature for 1 minute. If the creature takes damage, it reduces the damage by 1d6, minimum 0, and the effect ends early. Okay, that's not bad. And Prayer. You can use a reaction when you or a creature within 5 yards makes an attribute roll to magically grant 1 boon to the roll. So that's nice support quality there. All right, the next character appears to be a mage. This is Aim, or Iam, or however you pronounce that. You belong to the Dragonet ancestry, which I believe is this game's version of a Dragonborn. Or maybe actually, I'm not really sure. It says people of miniature dragons. So I'm not sure if that's like size of 1/2. So it's more like a kobold, I think. You were considered a wise philosopher. To gain a better understanding of the world's workings, you set out from your homeland and have become a mage. So they have a defense of 13, health of 12, strength of 9, agility of 10, intellect 12, and will of 12. Languages include arcane and common, size 1/2. They can fly, apparently, speed of 5 fly. They have a dagger. They know the aeromancy and skullduggery traditions. Skullduggery is new, and actually aeromancy is new, so I'll be interested to read up on those. Magical implement, and it has 2 charges. So charges seem to be a thing in this game. Probably a way of limiting how much power a character can accumulate at any given level. Fragile flyer, so you lose the ability to fly when you're injured. Prehensile tail, so you got a tail. Functions as an additional limb, and you can use it to grasp small objects and wield offhand weapons. That's kind of cool. They have a dagger. Mage sense. You can use an action to expand your senses so that you can perceive the presence or absence. Excuse me. A little burp. Sorry. That was kind of gross. I just had a McDonald's sandwich, so you can forgive the body trying to reject it. I would edit that out if I knew how to edit better, so but I don't. All right, so if a creature, object, or space is under the effects of magic or created by it and is within range, you know it. So you can little sense magic there. Harness lightning. This is kind of cool. You can use an action to call down lightning, a bolt of lightning to strike you, but rather than being harmed, you become energized for 1 hour or until you end this effect. The effect also ends if you become unconscious. Once you use this magical talent, you lose access to it until after you rest. The talent grants you the following benefits. You take no damage from lightning. You emit dim light. Any creature that touches you or deals damage to you with a weapon made of metal makes a luck roll. On a failure, the creature takes a d6 damage. Yeah, I don't like mechanics like this because as a DM, that means that if I've got a group of let's say this this poor mage is surrounded by a group of a bunch of a group of monsters. I want to say enemies, but a group of monsters. So they got 4 or 5 monsters around them. So every time a monster hits them, then I have to also make a luck roll to see if the creature takes a d6. I would almost rather the creature just take a d6 damage, and not even have a luck roll in there. That would be my preference. In fact, I'm not gonna house rule this game already because I haven't even seen the full rules, but that seems a little clunky to me, so that might have to forego that. But anyway, when you attack with natural weapons or an unarmed strike, you roll with 1 boon against metal targets and targets wearing medium or heavy armor. Your attacks with natural weapons, unarmed strikes, and metal weapons deal 1d6 damage from the lightning in addition to the normal damage. That's pretty cool. You can use an action to hurl lightning. On a success, the target takes 46 damage. Holy crap. That's pretty freaking good. Once you use this aspect, you lose access to it for 1 minute. All right. What else you got? The mage is pretty kick-ass so far. They have hide in plain sight. You can use an action to become hidden for 1 hour. You ignore the requirements for becoming hidden. The effect ends early if you harm another creature, run, or speak. Okay, so that's interesting. Use implement. So they have an implement that has a charge. Using the charge, they can do Mage Shield or Mage Strike. So Mage Shield, as an action or reaction when you're attacked, you impose 1 Bane on rolls against your defense and agility for 1 minute. Okay, so that's nice. It lasts for a minute. And then Mage Strike, as an action, launch a missile of magical energy at 1 creature or object within 10 yards, so a magic missile. Make an intellect or will roll against the target's agility. So not magic missile, you have to roll to hit. On a success, target takes 2d6 damage. Okay. I thought that might be the same as Mage Dart, which is from Shadow of the Demon Lord, which is like magic missile, but this does require an attack roll. And then this little guy has a fire breath, so you can use a reaction when you attack to spew fire. So this guy's got a lot going for him. I'm digging it. Then they have spells on top of that. So unless the rules say otherwise, you can cast each of these spells once and regain the casting after you rest. So I'm thinking the rest is a full 8-hour rest. So Danger Sense, for 1 minute, you know the location of each creature within 15 yards. Okay. Flee the scene. You can use a reaction to cast a spell when you become injured. You can cast... so injured, I'm assuming, is the same here as it is in Shadow of the Demon Lord, where that's equivalent to getting to the half point of in damage of your health. So if your health is 10 and you take 5 points of damage, then you are considered injured at that point. So if you become injured, you can cast this as a reaction. Until the end of your next turn, your speed increases by 30 and you are slippery. So I'm not sure what slippery means, but I assume that means that you get some kind of protection from free attacks. Okay, you can cast Forked Lightning. Forked Lightning. Okay, target 1 or 2 creatures or objects within 15 yards. Lightning leaps from your hands. Blah, 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 blah. On a success, 46 damage. We go with 46 damage again. We're doing some pretty massive damage for a low-level mage. I'm wondering, I know this is supposed to be a more heroic game. Because low-level mages, if they're doing 1 or 2d6 damage, they're doing pretty good. Okay, so if the result is 20 or higher, the target takes an extra d6 damage. So that's pretty cool. Gusting Wind is, I think it's pretty much a self-explanatory thing. All right, so then we have Whisper. Whisper is an elf. Elves are immortal fairies who come from a land hidden from mortal eyes. They come from the land down under. No, they come from land hidden from mortal eyes. You are a drifter. I don't know what that means. Probably background. Seems like drifter, guard, philosopher. These are all backgrounds that probably add to your character's development. So they are They're a drifter, wandering from place to place, taking what catches your eye and leaving once you feel the pull of the open road. You follow the rogue path. So we have a rogue. Defense of 15, which is good. Health of 14, which is good. Strength 11, agility of 13, intellect of 10, will of 9. They have keen hearing, keen vision. Not sure what those are. They speak Common, Goblin, Sylvan, speed of 6, so better than average it looks like. Equipment. See, they have leather armor, small sword, dagger, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Advantageous strike. When you get a success on a roll to attack and you rolled at least one boon, you can use this talent to deal an extra 1d6 damage. Cunning dodge. Oh, they got a lot of stuff here. I don't know if I'm going to read this or else this, read all of this, or else this video is going to be 6 hours long. But we've got advantageous strike, cunning dodge, trickery, unearthly grace. When you make an attack, when you make an agility or intellect roll, use this trait to add 10 to the result. That's interesting. Okay, small sword, dagger, longbow, 2-weapon attack. So they can attack with 2 weapons. Use an action to attack one creature or one object within 1 yard using both your small sword and dagger. Make an agility roll against the target's defense. On a success, the target takes 2d6 damage. Okay. I think the 2-weapon attack works, sounds like it works the same as it does in Shadow of the Demon Lord, but I'll have to read the rules directly to figure that out. Okay, then we have Soldier 5. So none other than the Weird Wizard himself constructed you and gave you the semblance of life. You belong to the Clockwork Ancestry, one of my favorites. You serve as a guard in the Forbidden City for many years and would still be there had your maker not vanished. You have since wandered far and wide seeking a purpose. You follow the fighter path. So they have a defense of 17, which is really good. Health of 20, which is really good. Strength of 13, agility of 9, not so hot. Intellect of 10, will of 11. Languages include Common. They're immune to sleep and poisoned. All right, so they have their equipment, a shield, saber, and a pouch containing 4 copper. They have machine body. They have grind the gears. That's a Demon Lord thing. They have a saber. Critical success. When you get a critical success, you can roll the extra damage twice and use the highest amount. So it looks like there is a critical success over and above the rolling 20 and better, good things happen. So we'll have to read up on what critical success means for this game. Engage the enemy. When an enemy moves to a space within a number of yards of you equal to your speed, you can use a reaction to move up to your speed. If you can reach the enemy, you can attack it. Interesting. So not only, that sounds like an extra attack using your reaction, extra move and attack using your reaction, which is triggered by somebody coming within your space. That's pretty interesting. All right, cool. Okay, so those are your pre-gen characters. Now we've got the actual rules of play. So I'm not sure how much of this I'm going to read because there's a lot here. I'll probably just go over the things that look different from Shadow of the Demon Lord. So the attribute rolls are basically rolls against your ability scores. So strength versus agility, or strength versus defense, or agility versus strength, or that sort of thing. Your ability attribute modifier is the same as your ability score modifier. If your strength is 10, then you have +0. If your strength is 12, then you have +2. It's the same as it is in Shadow of the Demon Lord. Target number, determine outcome, blah blah blah. Rolls to attack, rolls to attack, rolls against. Boons and banes, that's the same as Demon Lord. Success and failure. All right, here we go. Luck rolls. This is different. Sometimes the rules or the sage calls for a luck roll to see what happens. A luck roll uses no attribute. It's just a roll of d20. Since you never make luck roll against a creature, a creature or object, the target is always 10. So it looks like luck is never used against a creature or object. It's just for a circumstance that you find yourself in, and the target's always 10. So 50-50 chance, right? Luck ends. If you are under the effects of an effect, that has the luck ends notation, you make a luck roll at the end of the round. If you have multiple luck ends effects affecting you, you make the luck roll for each effect in any order you choose. On a success, the effect ends. On a failure, the effect persists at least until the end of the next round, at which point you repeat the luck roll to end the effect. You can end a luck ends effect with a successful use of overcome. Okay, so I'm not sure what that is, overcome. I'm sure we'll find out. So defense. Defense is pretty much the same. Let's say natural defense. All creatures have the capable of defending themselves, have a natural defense score. It's usually 10. Your path determines your natural defense score. Okay, so nothing new there. So health and damage are handled the same, it looks like. So I'm just going to continue on. There's injured, incapacitated. So let's see what the death rolls are like here. So when your damage total equals your health score, you fall prone and become incapacitated. While you're incapacitated, you are unconscious. If you take any damage while incapacitated, you lose health equal to the damage that you took. Okay, so that is that. So it looks like you're once your damage is maxed, then you start taking damage directly to your health. That can be bad. All right, so if you're incapacitated at the end of the round, lose 1d6 health and make a luck roll. All right, so this is different because now you're taking damage directly to your health, whereas before that was not a thing. On a success, you heal one damage, and you are no longer incapacitated. On a failure, you remain incapacitated. Okay, that's interesting. You heal 1 damage, but not 1 health. Okay, so death. If you die and the cause of death does not destroy your body, your remains become an object with a health of 20. Small creatures become objects with a health of 5, while large creatures become objects with a health of 100. So you're basically a lump of meat at that point. Remains of organic material decay, losing 1d6 health each day until they completely rot away. If an effect would restore you to life, any loss of health to your corpse acts as a permanent reduction to your health score. Okay, reflecting the ravages of decay, lost body parts, and so on. When your health score reaches 0, you die. All right, the game uses harm as a shorthand for any effect that would deal damage, cause you to lose health, bestow an affliction, or subject you to any other harmful effect. Other harmful effects include forced movement and anything that would deprive a creature of its material possessions. Okay, so that's just calling out the word harm. Afflictions. And we have a list of afflictions. They're probably similar to Demon Lord, I'm guessing, but there might be some new stuff here. Blinded, confused, controlled. So controlled, I think, is just a different word for something that's already in Demon Lord. You fall under the control of the source of this affliction. You take your turn when the controller does, and it decides what you do on your turn. If you've already taken a turn when you gain this affliction, you take a turn as described during the next round. Okay. Cursed, that's new. You make luck rolls with 1 bane. That sucks. Deafened, you cannot hear. That's me all the time. Frightened, that seems to be new. You fear the source of this affliction, a creature, an object, a space, or something else. While you have line of sight to the source of your fear, you make attribute rolls with 1 bane, and you grant 1 boon on attribute rolls against you. Held, I think that's new. Your speed drops 0, and you cannot benefit from increases to your speed until this affliction ends. Impaired. The impaired affliction affects the attribute specified by the harmful effect, so you might be strength impaired or intellect impaired, for instance. You roll with 1 bane when using the specified attribute, and you grant 1 boon on rolls against the specified attribute. On fire, that's hilarious. When you're on fire, you catch fire. You take a d6 damage at the end of each round until the fire is extinguished, which is normally accomplished with a successful luck roll. You can also use an action to overcome the flames by making a successful agility roll, or by using an action to douse the flames with water or smother them with a blanket or similar object. A creature that drops prone before trying to overcome the flames makes the roll with 1 boon. All right, that's interesting. I don't think I've ever seen that in a list of conditions or impairments. Is that what this is? Afflictions, sorry. All right, then you have poisoned, proned, stunned. See if they change stunned. No, stunned is still, you cannot use actions or reactions. I really don't like stunned. I don't like using stunned. People don't like being stunned. I don't like creatures being stunned because it's a big, unfun condition. So hopefully it's used sparingly in this game. Unconscious, let's see, you have unconscious and it specifies asleep here. Then you have weakened. It talks about stacking effects. Okay, here we go with rest. So characters have many ways to heal damage and regain health. They might avail themselves of poultices, elixirs, spells, talents, and other game effects. But the most reliable way to recover from injuries comes from resting. Resting allows you to heal damage and regain expended resources. If you have uninterrupted rest for 8 consecutive hours, you heal all damage and you regain health equal to 1/10 your normal health score rounded down. Some of your other resources might be replenished after a rest, such as your implements. If you stop resting to use an action or a reaction, the time you've spent continuously resting is wasted, and you must start again to gain any benefit from doing so. All right, time rounds, it looks about the same. Size and reach, it looks about the same. Senses. All right, so this talks about senses, sound and hearing, light and vision, sunlight, artificial light. Oh, this is good. It's got, it actually talks about bright light. Really, okay, yeah, well, that's not interesting after all. Obscurement, this is all pretty much the same. So wind. It's got rules for wind. That's interesting. I don't remember that from Shadow of the Demon Lord, so that must be new. Special senses. We have awareness, keen hearing, keen scent, keen vision, dark vision. You all know I hate dark vision, right? Hopefully it's used sparingly in this game as well, but I have a feeling. And then true vision. Okay. Searching, being hidden. So being hidden rules are always pretty tricky. So let's see what he does in this game. So a creature or object is hidden from all creatures that do not know its exact location, whether they suspect its presence or not. Once hidden, the creature or object remains so until found. A hidden creature or object cannot be targeted with effects originating from any source from which it is hidden. A hidden creature or object might be affected by other effects so long as those effects do not require specific targets. So if you get caught in a fireball, if there is such a thing in this game, then it doesn't matter if you're hidden. If you're in the area effect, you're going to get burnt or on fire. Okay, so where are we? Creature hidden from, it says right here, exploding fireball spell takes damage from the spell, since the spell spreads through an area and does not specifically target any creature or object. So there you go. Once hidden, creature remains hidden until found or until something happens to end the state. A hidden creature stops being hidden after it attacks, shouts, casts a spell, or does anything else to draw attention to itself. Or obviously just revealing himself. All right, so that seems pretty much the same as any other RPG. Knowledge. It gives you some bullet points of different types of knowledge. Professional knowledge. So that would be, I guess, general knowledge and professional knowledge. Stories and legend, tasks and activities, competence, an eye for quality, tangential benefits, discoveries. Not sure what that is, so let's take a look here. You can know something, not know something, or think you know something. If you think you might know something, you can ask the sage to make an intellect roll on your behalf. If the roll results in success, the sage tells you if you know about the topic or not, and what about it that you can recall. If the roll results in a failure, the sage can tell you anything and leave it for you to decide if what you learn is true or not. Further rolls to chase down the same information fail until you have access to new information. So you can't just keep making knowledge rolls over and over again and expect a success out of that. If you're confronted with information that you don't know much about, often this is because gaining this information represents a significant advancement of the plot and ought to take a bit more effort than a single roll. Rather than pester the sage with questions, look for ways in the story that your character can find the information, such as by searching through a library, consulting an expert, eavesdropping on a private conversation, or doing any such thing that would grant you this knowledge. All right, that's pretty useful. Let's see, we have communication. We have disposition. Looks like NPCs can be friendly, indifferent, or unfriendly. Reading dispositions. So you got your social rules here. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so now we have languages. So we have the common language, the Sylvan language, and the arcane language. Thought I saw some more up in the characters, but maybe... Yeah, I thought there was one that was runic, but maybe I'm remembering that right. Anyway, there's probably more languages that'll be presented in the... yeah, this is selected languages, so there's probably going to be more. All right, so now we get into combat. So let's see, it defines a battlefield, defines combatants, defines positioning, talks about turns, reactions, and end of round. Ambushes, moves, special forms of move. Let's see, in addition to walking its equivalent, you might move in any of the following ways. Each require you to expend yards of your normal movement. If you use a form of special movement that requires you to expend 2 yards of your movement when you have a speed of 5, then you would have 3 yards of movement remaining. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so climb, crawl, drop prone, fly, jump and leap, mount and dismount, retreat, sneak, stand up, swim. Okay, those are all pretty typical. We talk about obstacles, challenging terrain, falls, squeezing, movement activities, interact. You can interact with an object you can reach. You pick something up off the ground, kick in a locked door, lift a chest lid, pull a lever, or do something else. The sage or the rules determine if an attribute roll is required to determine if you succeed in your effort or not. Yeah. Okay. Special movement traits. So you got burrow, climber, fly, hover, insubstantial, mount, silent, slippery, squeeze, and strider. The creature reduces the number of yards of movement it costs to move each yard across challenging terrain. Okay. Swimmer, teleport, and water walk. Movement complications. Being moved. An effect that forces you to move, propels you in the direction and to the distance indicated unless you encounter an obstacle that would prevent you from continuing to move. If being moved would expose you to peril, such as pushing you over the edge of a cliff or into a fire, you can make a luck roll, and on success, you drop prone at the edge of the danger. Being moved in this way does not enable enemies to make free attacks against you. Moving out of reach triggers a free attack. That's not different. So climbing or jumping on creatures. That's good that that's called out. All right, so different actions. We have attack, cast a spell, defend, and a magical effect. Find, help, hide, hinder, overcome, run, stabilize, steal, throw, toss. You have thrown attacks and toss. Use a talent or trait. Use an item. Do something else. Then you got your reactions. You can catch. When a tossed object moves into your reach, you can use your reaction to make an agility roll. If the object is a weapon, roll with 1 bane. On a success, you catch the object. On a failure, you miss it, and the object lands somewhere else. Oh, that's cool. I like that. Cover ally, dodge. Let's see what cover ally is. When an enemy attacks a target within your reach, you can use a reaction to switch the enemy's target from the one the enemy chose to yourself. Oh, I like that. That's cool. Let's see here. Free attack, take the initiative. Okay, so take the initiative is going to affect the new initiative rules, which I have read. So let's just read this real quick. If you're aware of your enemies when a new round starts, you can use a reaction to take the initiative, which lets you take a turn immediately before your enemies take their turns. If you and other allies take the initiative, you decide amongst yourself who goes first, as normal, or the sage does if no one can decide. So we'll talk about that more when we talk about the initiative rules. Then you got withstand. When you make a strength roll to avoid an effect or mitigate a harmful effect, you can use a reaction before the dice are rolled to either impose 1 bane on the roll or make you roll with 1 boon. Okay. And you got attacking. Let's see. I don't think there's anything new here that spells out what attacking does. Critical success. When the result of your roll to attack is 20 or higher and exceeds the target number by at least 5, that is what is considered a critical success. Your attack deals an extra d6 damage. Okay, so this is now a standard rule. I believe in Demon Lord this was an ability, or it was part of your class ability. It was not just a standard rule, but it looks like it's now a standard rule. And then combat circumstances. So surrounding the target. Okay, so it looks like you have, that was an optional rule in Demon Lord. Now it looks like it's part of the core rule. Long range shooting, high ground. Here we go. My gaming group will love this. When you occupy a space higher than that occupied by the target of your attack, roll with 1 boon. Within reach of an enemy, obscurement, invisible, cover. Bonus damage, special attacks, attacking 2 weapons. Okay, so let's read that. If you wield 2 weapons, 1 in each hand, you can attack with both weapons at the same time. When you do so, only the properties from the weapon you wield in your main hand applies. If the attack results in a success, add the damage from the weapon you wield in your offhand as extra damage to the attack. So you don't make 2 attacks, you just make 1 attack roll, and if it hits, then both your weapons hit, and you roll the attack damage, or you roll the attack damage. You roll the damage for both weapons and add them together. If you can wield more than 2 weapons at a time, you can, at most, attack with 2 weapons and choose which weapons with which you attack when you attack. All right. So you can do a called shot, a charge, a disarm, unarmed attacks, shove, trip, grab, drag, wrestle, escape. Okay. So let's see. The next section is talking about spells. You got spells and you got rituals. Then you got Season of Hunger. Okay, somewhere in here I missed the initiative rules. So let me back up here and see where I can find them. It's probably under combat. I kind of skimmed over combat. Okay, so combat. Well, okay, so yeah, it doesn't, I don't see it there. I know I saw it in the rules, and maybe I'm just skimming this too much, but let me just talk about initiative real quick. So in Shadow of the Demon Lord, your initiative was fast turns and slow turns. So you would start a combat round, and the player characters always went first, and they would decide if they're going to take their turn on a fast turn or if they're going to take their turn on a slow turn. If they take their turn on a fast turn, they can only do one thing, and that's either move or attack, or take an action, I mean. But they get to go first in the round. So that's the advantage of going fast. But the disadvantage of it is that you lose either your move or your action. If you take it on a slow turn, the advantage is that you get both your move and your action, but the disadvantage is that the monsters have a chance to go before you. So that is the Shadow of the Demon Lord way. In this game, monsters go first automatically, unless you use your reaction to take the initiative. If you take the initiative, then you go before the monsters. But you're using your reaction to do so. So you still get to keep your movement and your action, but you're blowing your reaction in order to be able to seize the initiative, which can affect you later in the round. If you have something that uses your reaction, you no longer have access to it because you blew it for taking the initiative. Okay, so I'm sure that's in here somewhere. I probably just blew past it and yeah. So anyway, all right. So that is it for the rules, and then the rest of this packet is the adventure or the quest. A Season of Hunger, which is a novice quest for Shadow of the Weird Wizard. So I wonder if they're going to be doing starting tiers in Weird Wizard, because this is novice quest. So I'm sure he wants to, he wants the first quest that people can play to be a novice quest. But I wonder if there's still going to be a starting tier in this game like there is in Shadow of the Demon Lord. So anyway, I'm not going to go through the quest itself because some of you may be wanting to play through it. So we'll just end the video here. So anyway, there you go. That's a quick play for Shadow of the Weird Wizard. There are some differences. Some are pretty major, some are minor, and some are a lot of things are pretty much the same as the Shadow of the Demon Lord. So if you know how to play Shadow of the Demon Lord, you're going to be able to jump in and play Shadow of the Weird Wizard, pretty quickly. So that's what I'm anticipating. I'm going to try to run this quick play and maybe give you a report after I do so. The problem with this is that, obviously Weird Wizard doesn't have any support from virtual tabletops, and my group is a virtual play group, so I'm going to have to, figure out how to do this the old manual way. All right, so anyway, that's it for Shadow of the Weird Wizard quick play. Thank you for watching. I will wrap it up here. Thanks, and I'm out of here. How the hell do I turn this damn video off? Here we go.